control over this?
No.
And we don't have direct awareness. We only have indirect awareness. How do you think we know we're getting like a good and a bad off of this thing? You feel it in your body. She said the exact word she said, gut feeling. That's why the vagus nerve, the thing we tap on, it also gives you butterflies in your stomach. Right? It's what you sense. So why do we have to do these crazy tapping and quieting? Well, it's because the more you get used to quieting your body, the more you actually hear what's going on in your body. Some of us have lived a Christianity where we're essentially disconnected from our bodies. And so stuff's going on here, and we have no idea. We're just not used to listening to it. So another benefit of the quieting exercises is that you're also increasing your sensitivity to be able to hear you when your body's saying, because every one of these is connected to some hormones. And you feel those hormones in your body. Cortisol feels one way, serotonin, good, feels another way. And so listening to your bodies is that's why I said in the gratitude too, what do you feel in your bodies when you go into this gratitude memory? This whole thing actually, it also governs the connection we have with our body. That's mainly up here. So if we can feel a connection in our gratitude memory in our body, that means our level 4 is up and working, and that means we're actually training the right thing. Right? Make sense? Okay. Level 3, can I have 2 volunteers? So level 1 is the what center? Attachment center. Level 2 is the what? Assessment. And level 3 is the attunement level. Attunement. So level 3 is always trying to figure out what's going on in the mind of another person. That's one of those main things.
Basically it says from here, is anybody paying attention to this?
Or am I all alone in this? Will people reject me and not like me if they know what's going on in my life? In which case I have to hide it. If that does that, then you two fall asleep. But if I can share it openly and there's someone who gets me, that's what attunement is. Attunement is we're in a situation, we're feeling distress, or we're feeling success. It could be success too, and someone looks at you and you can tell they get you, they're matching what your brain is doing. This is rejoicing with those who rejoice and weeping with those who weep. That is level 3. That's the attunement.
And the attunement is looking for somebody who really gets me non-verbally. Remember that all this is non-verbal. So I get a presence of someone that looks at me and can tell, oh, this is bad. Oh, this is scary.
Or it might be a success. And they
Or I
might say,
should be
ooh.
angry. But it's somebody that is not overestimating and say, yeah, you're gonna die, this is horrible. But it's not underestimating. Oh, you don't need to cry, Jesus is with you. You can do everything. And even if we toss the Bible to be more toxic, because we feel God will not tell me. You know, so this is what we need to feel God attuned to us and to share with other people. First, non-verbally.
So an example, let's say for lunch, instead of the chicken we had, there were bean burritos. Lots of beans. And I'm eating this, and all of a sudden I have all this gas. Is gas personal to me? Yeah. Thank you, it is. Is gas good, bad, or scary? Good. The question is, can I share with other people that I have? It doesn't mean I have to share the gas. I have to share the fact that I am having, that those beans are having an effect on me right now. Can I share that? Well, now that depends. If you were a family that just kind of let these bodily functions go and laughed at them and it was a normal part of life, these are fine. Yep, this is something we easily share when we go to level 4. But what if you were shamed for tooting in public in school one day, or your family made fun of you, or something that was negative, then in the future you're gonna get bad or maybe even scary off of that. And here, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I gotta hide this. Nobody gets me here. I feel like I'm all alone, and then we start pretending something that we're not. Once we start pretending, we've lost our true self. This is what we call the high performance self. The high performance self is a fear-based false self that gets lots of performance, but it's not me. It's a fake version of me. That often happens when we think we need to please people, but they wouldn't really like who I really am. There's part of this that can create a false self. Okay? Make sense? Okay? Attunement self. And then level 4, this is the right orbital prefrontal cortex. Can I have 3 volunteers, please? So if it's going around me, I can share it, and it gets passed on to level 4. With this is not an A word. This is the joy and identity center. That joy gas tank when you're doing your gratitude exercises. This is like filling up the joy tank here. Right? This is also the CEO of the brain. This is meant to govern the entire brain. Right? This is the thing we train. This is the thing that produces fetal biochemistry your entire life. And so it does a lot of things. The interesting thing though is look how it's configured. So in the prefrontal cortex, I'm seated in this one. You're seated in your own chair, and so you're interacting with 2 other people. So the right prefrontal cortex at level 4 is really configured as three faces interacting about who I am. 3 faces interacting with each other about my identity, who I am as a person, right?
Who that reminds you of?
Yeah. We have a little bit of a model of the Trinity inside of us. Now, when I'm an infant, this thing comes online a little bit later in infancy, but when you're an infant, you have to have actually physical people seated in this chair. What that means from our brain is we need people actually in front of our eyes as a baby, physically in presence, right? So in the ideal case, if I'm in this case, I have mom and dad in front of me a lot. So they work out and start to develop this. And if my mom is very happy to be with me, it's high joy. My dad is very happy to be with me, that's high joy. And I see my mom and my dad being happy to be with each other while also being happy to be with me. They are setting me up to have a very solid identity that does not break down very easy, even under stress. And this is not the prefrontal cortex I received in my infancy. Instead of like a 3-legged stool, mine was like wobbly. It was not stable. So I found my identity falling apart a lot. What I realized, I didn't know why this was because my sisters were more stable than I was, but I realized around the time I was born, my parents started having marital problems. So I got less of a brain than my 3 older sisters. That's not fair. Yeah. But it's not fair. Why does things don't seem fair, right? It's kind of like the Spanish. My kids, it's not fair. My kids just got Spanish for free and I had to go study for 6 months, right? In Costa Rica, which wasn't so bad. But there's a lot of these things, some of you just go, oh, of course you stay joyful there. I don't know why you wouldn't, because they don't know what it was like, right? But again, well, how do you build this thing up then? Well, this is what we're talking about. This is the other half of church. Strengthening this thing, getting some parenting that we didn't get from our own parents in our church communities, in our crew communities on campus. I got a ton of this solidified in my 6 years on campus with our crew ministry at CU Boulder. I saw things, I was really refathered by John Lamb to a pretty significant extent. I was also remothered by several women friends. They kind of shared a thing where they would do things for me that my mom didn't do for me. One of them was Corey Ogburn, which you all know, went to Argentina with us, but she would always come up to me and tell me what I was good at and tell me when she saw me doing something good, and I didn't receive any of that when I was growing up. I didn't realize it till later when I learned this stuff, I go, oh, Corey was a gift of God to fill in some of my mothering that didn't get done because my mom was so sad. right? But the thing is, this thing learns and it learns.
Yeah, I just wanna add some